keep the local economy going. And obviously Hot has 2 salons in Paisley Road West. And I'm one of their best customers. I don't know if my daughter has... Oh, there she is. She's, I was going to say, I don't know if she's made it into the meeting. She said she was only coming on the basis that she could play outside during the meeting. I said, but darling, why do you not want to come to the meeting? And she says, well, Dad, I've heard it all before. And I said, well, what is it you've heard all before? And she says, you keep going on about decorating that house. I said, what do you mean? He said, you can change the decoration, you can change the decoration. And I'm glad, because it means some of what I'm saying has actually been taken in by my daughter at 8 years of age. Because one of the most important points that I think Jim, David and I want to get across to you tonight is that this referendum on 18th of September is not about a political party. It is not. It is not about any one politician. I have many friends, and some of them are in here tonight, who are members of the Scottish National Party. And I applaud the work that the SNP has done over many, many years, keeping the question of independence alive in Scottish politics. I applaud them for what they have done. However, on the 18th of September, the vote has got nothing to do with the SNP, nothing to do with Alex Salmond, and everything to do with the future of your children and the future of this country. That's what 18th of September is all about. And the story that Gabrielle refers to is the illustration that I tried to use in the course of the meetings that I have had the pleasure of addressing so far on this question. When I make the point that each and every one of you may have the opportunity one time to see a house that you would like to buy, and it fits all of the options that you are looking for. It ticks all the boxes: enough bedrooms, lovely living room, great kitchen, fantastic garden, and you go and you can match the price, but you don't like the decor, so you decide, I'm not going to buy it. How ridiculous is that? Well, that's the equivalent of anyone in Scotland saying, yes, I would like to get rid of nuclear weapons. Yes, I would like to get rid of poverty pay. Yes, I would like to stop our public services from being privatised. Yes, I would like to save the National Health Service and keep it in the public sector. Yes, I would like all of that. But I'm not going to vote independence because I don't like Alex Salmond. That's how ridiculous it is, brothers and sisters. You think of some of the things that David talked about tonight. The idea that this wee country of Scotland could shake the planet on the 19th of September. We could shake the planet, brothers and sisters, because you know, across the world right now, there is, unfortunately, there are a few exceptions, but unfortunately, there is a consensus in politics, a neoliberal, war-mongering consensus across the planet that determines that it's all right to see Waynes die every 30 seconds as long as there are enough bombs on the planet, as long as there are enough weapons to destroy the planet, then we can let the Waynes die. That's the neoliberal consensus that any human being should despise. We've got the opportunity on the 18th of September to reject that neoliberal, warmongering consensus, because the one thing, if there are no other reasons to vote independence, the one thing that we can be assured is that if you vote yes on the 18th of September, we will strike a blow for world peace. That's what we'll do for world peace. Because this wee country will stand up to the rest of the world and say, some of you might be fighting to get a hold of nuclear weapons. We've just voted to get rid of nuclear weapons. That's what we're doing by voting yes. And you get the arguments from the fearmongers. We called this meeting under the heading, Hope over Fear. Because what does a no campaign have other than fear? They tell us you can't be sure about what's going to happen to your economy after independence. What we can be sure of is that for the last 32 years in a row, no blip, no economic accident, for the last 32 years in a row, Scotland has generated more in revenue and taxation than we've got back from Westminster. That's the reality. We start off, therefore, on the basis not that we're beggars, but we start off on the basis that we are self-sufficient. They tell us you can't be sure, you can't be certain. What about pensions? What about the National Health Service? What about social services? Brothers and sisters, have a look at what's happening in Westminster just now. They are literally privatising the National Health Service as we speak. They are making ordinary working class folk pay for the economic mess that's been created by the rich and the bankers. I ask you this. I asked you in 2008, when the economic collapse began, when we had the banks facing closure. I'll tell you what, when the shipyards and the steel yards and the mines needed some public help and public subsidy, they were told, oh no, you have to stand on your own 2 feet. It's the market that counts. But when it came to the bloody bankers, what did they do? They got bailed out by the public. That's what happened with the bankers. The only problem is, brothers and sisters, the only problem is, because I'm telling you this, in socialist Scotland, I would like the banks to be publicly owned. I would like them to be publicly owned and run for public benefit, not for private profit. That's the way we should run our banks. Isn't it a disgrace that we now, in 2013, the figures that were published only 3 weeks ago show that the level of bankers' bonuses is now higher than what it was in 2008 before the last crash. We get told by the Tories that we need to cut the amount of help for the elderly. We need to cut the health service. We need to cut social services. Every worker has to accept that they're not going to get a wage rise matching inflation, which equals a wage cut. The single biggest cut in living standards since the Second World War. That's what workers have had to endure over this last 5 years. And I would ask you this. When it comes to the benefits cap, when it comes to attacking those in receipt of benefit because they're too crippled to work or because they can't find a job, when it comes to attacking those who have sought asylum in this country, those who are the easy pickings for the bullies that want to make scapegoats out of immigrants, when it comes to ordinary low-paid workers on 0-hour contracts who are getting attacked, I ask you this. What pensioner, what immigrant, what low-paid worker was responsible for the economic collapse in 2008? And the answer is none of them. None of them were responsible for the economic collapse. We know who was responsible. The responsible ones were the rich and the bankers and the politicians that allowed those unregulated markets to do what they wanted, when they wanted, to make as much money as they wanted. The greed was intoxicating for these people. But the question is this: if it wasn't the pensioners, and it wasn't the low-paid workers, and it wasn't the immigrants, if it wasn't the poor that caused the economic mess, why the hell are they paying for the economic mess? That's the question, brothers and sisters. We have to say loud and clear, what is austerity? Austerity is punishing the poor for the crimes of the rich. That's what austerity is, brothers and sisters. And we have the opportunity here. We have the opportunity in this country to say, no, we're not accepting that equation any longer. We're going to vote for a country that actually has communitarian values, that actually believes in public services, that believes in unilateral nuclear disarmament. We're going to vote on the 18th of September, not for a political party. We're going to do that at the first elections in 2016. That's when we'll do that. But in September, you vote for the political path you want your country to travel on. Do you want, in relation to this argument about certainties, these people, these fearmongers, these four horsemen of the apocalypse that are going to bring out now, the Lords Robertson and Lords Reid, they're going to come in and save the day, apparently. I tell you what, if Lord Robertson and Lord Reid and Lord McConnell and Lord whatever else his name is the answer, then you're obviously asking the wrong question. That's the reality. These people are just worried, aren't they? Because on the 19th of September, they'll be getting a P45, won't they? That's the reality. In an independent Scotland, brothers and sisters, we've got no time for the unelected touching of the four-lot lords with their red ermine robes, clocking in and getting 350 quid a day and then clocking out 10 minutes later. We'll save that money. And I'll tell you what else we're going to save. We're going to save in the members of Parliament that are going down there and doing everything they can to fight against independence because they don't want to lose their own jobs. That's the reality. That's why they're fighting so hard. We have the chance here, brothers and sisters, to say that we want freedom for our country. Now, some people might say, but Tommy, you know, we're egging the pudding here. Freedom, you know, freedom brings up connotations of being imprisoned, and I can testify to that. Brings up connotations of being in shackles, of being under tyrannical rule. Brothers and sisters, tyranny comes in all shapes and sizes. Think about this. How many of the political representatives in Scotland voted for the bedroom tax? 91% of Scotland's politicians voted against the bedroom tax. But we had the bedroom tax foisted upon us. The majority of the benefit cuts, something of the order of 77% of the political representatives in Scotland voted against the benefit cuts. But we get the benefit cuts foisted upon us. Brothers and sisters, it's simple democracy. What are we looking for in terms of freedom? We are looking for the right to get the government that we vote for. Is that too much to ask? Is it too much to ask? in the 21st century? Is it too much to ask? Because I have to correct myself, because I did say at one of my meetings, vote for independence and we'll never ever have a Tory government again. And some people cheered, and that was great. And then somebody sent me a wee message on Twitter. Marvellous, that Twitter, isn't it? You know, you can keep in touch with people. Somebody sent me a wee message and they says, Tommy, the Tories have got about 18% just now. You couldn't rule out that people in Scotland would vote a Tory government. So now what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, I'm going to be conditional. We will never, ever get another Tory government in Scotland unless the people of Scotland vote for a Tory government in Scotland. And there's more chance of hell freezing over than the people of Scotland voting for a Tory government. That's what we're talking about here. We are talking about taking control of our own destiny, of our own lives, of saying to our kids, when they grow up in a country where they can still go to university without facing fees, when they grow up in a country where there still is a public health service, when they can grow up in a country where we still have a public mail service. And of course, Jim, David and I, we're not fighting for independence because of the bloody white paper that's been produced. As far as we're concerned, that's where you start. What we're looking for in relation to an independent Scotland is an independent Scotland where the railways, where the banks, where the oil and the gas and the electricity is publicly owned, publicly run for the benefit of the people of Scotland, not for privateers. That's the type of Scotland we want. Never forget the words, brothers and sisters. Never forget the words of the great Nelson Mandela. Poverty is man-made. Poverty can be unmade. We in this